There comes a moment, often at 2 a.m., when you lie in bed staring at the ceiling and everything inside you whispers, "What's the point of trying anymore?" It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just silence. You stop checking your goals. You cancel plans. You scroll aimlessly. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired of caring without seeing results. You keep showing up, and life keeps pushing you back. And while everyone around you says, "Hang in there," deep down you wonder, maybe I wasn't meant for this, but what if I told you so? That moment of doubt, that heavy pause between what you want and what you feel, that's the threshold of real transformation. Not the glamorous kind, not the kind with applause or instant reward, but the kind that breaks you open, strips you of every illusion, and dares you to build something stronger from the ashes. Stoicism doesn't promise ease. It doesn't offer shortcuts. What it gives you is something more enduring, a way to stand still in the storm without losing yourself. In today's video, we're not here to sugarcoat suffering. We're here to understand it, to face it head-on and walk through it with clarity, strength, and something far more powerful than motivation: ownership. Because the truth is, you will want to quit. You will feel lost. You will hit points where the path seems pointless. But that's exactly where Stoic wisdom speaks loudest. In the next few minutes, you'll hear 5 principles, no fluff, no hype, rooted in ancient philosophy and forged in modern struggle. They're not meant to inspire from a distance. They're meant to anchor you when everything else feels like it's slipping away. So if you're tired, good. That means you're alive. That means you're still in the fight. And maybe what you need right now isn't a miracle. Maybe you just need a reminder. You've made it through every bad day so far, and you don't need to be fearless. You just need to keep walking. Let's begin. Lesson 1. No one is coming to save you. There's a seductive lie we're all fed growing up, that somewhere out there, if we just hold on long enough, someone will notice our struggle. Someone wiser, stronger, more capable will step in, lift us from the quicksand, and make the path easier. It's the fairy tale blueprint, the mentor who sees our potential, the lucky break that changes everything, the person who finally gets us and helps us heal. But here's the brutal truth, wrapped not in cruelty, but in liberation. No one is coming. No mentor is coming to hand you a roadmap. No boss is coming to rescue you from mediocrity. No partner is coming to heal wounds you won't face yourself. And if they did, it wouldn't last. Because true change can't be outsourced. The moment you accept that, not with despair, but with clarity, your life begins to shift. Stoicism teaches us this with unflinching directness. Marcus Aurelius never wrote about waiting for help. Epictetus didn't hope for rescue. They taught that your freedom begins the day you stop looking outward and start taking radical responsibility for what's within your control. You, your actions, your mindset, your daily decisions, your response to hardship. That's not punishment, it's power. Because if no one else is responsible, then no one else can stop you either. Let me bring this down to earth. In modern America, we're surrounded by narratives that reward waiting. Wait for the right job. Wait for the right economy. Wait for the right person to love you the way you deserve. Wait until you feel ready. But waiting is a polished form of avoidance. It wears the costume of patience, but underneath it's fear. Fear of failing alone. I've seen people waste years sitting on dreams because they thought someone else had to believe in them first. But here's what I've learned, again and again. Belief comes after action, not before. You don't build confidence in the dark. You build it under pressure. Not when things are perfect, but when you decide to show up anyway, with trembling hands, with uncertainty, with zero guarantees. because you know what's more painful than failing alone, waiting for a savior who never comes. You can't keep outsourcing your potential. You can't keep blaming the world for not handing you a life you haven't built. And you sure as hell can't keep waiting for signs, when the only real sign is this moment, right now. So don't romanticize the rescue. You are the hero. You are the rescuer. You are the one who must rise, not when the stars align, but when your soul demands it. No one is coming to save you. And that, my friend, is your greatest chance at freedom. Lesson 2. Stop romanticizing the quitter's life. There's a dangerous illusion many of us quietly carry, that walking away from hardship will somehow save us. That quitting is an act of liberation. That maybe, if we just dropped everything and disappeared, the pressure would vanish too. You felt it, haven't you? The temptation to say, screw this, to ghost the deadlines, cancel the commitments, let go of the weight on your shoulders and just breathe. It feels good at first, like slipping into warm water after being out in the cold too long. But that relief is fleeting. And what follows is not peace. It's regret. It's shame. It's the lingering ache of, what if I had kept going? Quitting doesn't erase the challenge, it only delays the pain. It's trading a moment of comfort for a lifetime of wondering who you could have become. We don't talk about this enough in modern life, in a culture that preaches self-care as avoidance and labels any struggle as toxic. We've forgotten that discomfort is not always the enemy. Sometimes it's the doorway to growth, to grit, to greatness. Stoicism calls us to endure, not for the sake of suffering, but for the strength it forges in us. Seneca didn't say life would be easy. He said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. You don't become resilient by giving up. You become resilient by pushing through. By showing up on the days when your motivation is missing, your energy is low, and no one is cheering you on. Those are the moments that shape your story. Let's be clear. There are situations worth walking away from. Toxic environments, abuse, paths that no longer align with your values. But most of the time, that's not what we're doing. Most of the time, we quit because it's hard, because we're tired, because it's taking longer than we thought, because we didn't realize how much discipline, repetition, and unglamorous effort it actually takes to build a life of substance. But that's the truth. Everything meaningful is uphill. So stop romanticizing the escape. Stop glorifying the dopamine hit of giving up. There's no honor in quitting something that still matters to you. Endure the pain that leads to progress, not the pain of permanent disappointment. And remember, the path you're on may be steep, may be slow, may be lonely, but every step forward, every refusal to quit, is a quiet victory over the version of you that once would have walked away. So stay, struggle, grow, because that ache in your chest today might just be the fire that forges who you're meant to become. Lesson 3. Feel the feels, but keep moving. Let's get honest, some days just suck. You wake up and there's a weight on your chest. Nothing dramatic happened, but something feels off. You're tired, unmotivated, maybe even a little hollow. And then come the thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm too far behind. What's the point of any of this? Our culture rushes to fix these moments. Think positive. Manifest good vibes only. Don't be so emotional. But the Stoics would tell you something very different. Don't run from the storm. Walk through it. Because your feelings, yes, even the dark ones, are real. They are part of the human experience. Marcus Aurelius himself faced grief, exhaustion, despair. And yet he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You don't gain strength by pretending you're okay. You gain it by acknowledging the mess and still choosing to take the next step. That's the key. Feel everything, but keep moving anyway. The mistake most people make is thinking that emotions are instructions, that because you feel sad, you should stop trying, that because you're angry, you should lash out, that because you're anxious, you should retreat. But emotions are not commands. They're data, not directives. They're weather patterns in the mind, passing storms, not permanent climate. What you do with those feelings, that's where your power lives. Some of the most successful, disciplined, admirable people you'll ever meet, they don't always feel strong. They've just learned not to wait for the perfect emotional state to take action. Because they know something most people don't. Action comes before motivation, not the other way around. You don't work out because you feel strong. You feel strong because you worked out. You don't write because you feel inspired. You feel inspired because you sat down and wrote. Feelings change after movement. But if you stay still, hoping your mindset will magically fix itself, you'll wait forever. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like dragging yourself out of bed when every cell says, stay. It looks like starting with just 5 minutes of focused work. It looks like taking a walk when your mind tells you to spiral. It looks like showing up, especially when you don't feel like it, and slowly, quietly, the fog lifts, the fire returns. Not all at once, but enough to keep going. Stoicism doesn't ask you to numb yourself. It invites you to become the kind of person who can feel deeply and still act wisely, who doesn't deny sadness but refuses to be defined by it, who may be tired but still shows up. So go ahead, cry if you need to, sit with the heaviness, honor it, but then stand up, take one step, then another. Because while emotions may visit, they don't get to drive. You do. Lesson 4. Help someone worse off than you. There's a certain kind of pain that makes you fold into yourself, like the world is closing in, like you're the only one carrying this much weight. On those days, your mind becomes an echo chamber. Everything is about you, your struggles, your failures, your exhaustion, and without realizing it, you slip into the prison of self-pity. It's a quiet kind of suffering, but it's powerful. It makes you feel like a victim, like nothing you do matters. And the more you dwell there, the more you believe that lie. Here's the Stoic truth. The fastest way out of that prison is to stop looking at yourself. Shift your focus outward. Find someone struggling more than you and help them, even if just a little. Not out of pity, but out of perspective. Because the moment you do, something shifts. You realize you're not the only one hurting. You realize you still have something to give. And that realization is the beginning of your return to strength. It might be something simple. A call to someone who's been feeling alone. A meal for a stranger outside the grocery store. Listening, truly listening, to someone else's pain without jumping in to fix it. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be sincere. I've lived this. There was a season when I felt completely lost. Nothing made sense, and I couldn't even fake being okay anymore. Then one weekend, out of desperation more than virtue, I volunteered at a shelter. I had nothing to offer but my time and presence. But within an hour, I found myself helping a man who had just lost everything: home, job, even his family. And yet, he smiled. He still had stories to tell. He still had hope. That day didn't fix my life, but it broke my isolation. It reminded me that I still had value, that I wasn't useless, just overwhelmed. and that helping others didn't drain me. It recharged me. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't need the perfect words or a grand gesture. You just need to show up, to offer your hand when someone else's knees are giving out. Because the act of lifting others is the same act that lifts you. And don't buy into the lie that you have nothing to give. You have wisdom someone else needs. You have patience someone else is praying for. You have a voice that, when used kindly, can change the course of someone's day, maybe even their life. And here's the paradox. The more broken you feel, the more powerful your presence becomes, because your empathy is real. You're not helping from a mountaintop, you're reaching out from the valley. And that's what makes it so human, so true. So when your mind says, "No one cares about me," answer it with, "Then I'll care for someone else." When your heart says, "I have nothing left," answer it with, "Then I'll give whatever's left anyway." Because giving, even from your emptiness, fills you in a way nothing else can. That's how you push through. That's how you rise. Not by climbing higher than others, but by kneeling beside them and saying, "Me too. Let's walk this out together." In the end, helping others isn't charity. It's alchemy. It transforms despair into purpose. It transforms survival into meaning. And it reminds you, even in your darkest hour, you still have light to give. Lesson 5. Change your environment. You might think your problem is lack of motivation, or discipline, or that mysterious thing called willpower. But more often than not, the real problem is your environment. Not just the space around you, but the people, the conversations, the noise, the habits embedded in your daily surroundings. Because here's the hard truth. No matter how strong your will is, it will eventually bend to your environment. Try meditating in a room filled with chaos. Try staying focused when your phone is buzzing every 3 minutes. Try becoming your best self while surrounded by people who have given up on becoming theirs. It's not impossible, but it's a hell of a lot harder than it needs to be. The Stoics taught us to guard the mind like a fortress, to be aware of what enters, what lingers, what takes root. But what if that fortress is crumbling? Because every day you rebuild it in a war zone. Your environment is either your prison or your leverage. It either keeps you stuck or it quietly lifts you forward. Marcus Aurelius didn't just reflect. He created time and space for stillness. Seneca didn't just talk about wisdom. He retreated often to recalibrate. You can't expect to stay clean if you keep bathing in muddy water. So ask yourself, where do you spend most of your time? What kind of conversations fill your days? Do your surroundings encourage discipline or distraction? Maybe it's the clutter in your room that keeps your mind chaotic. Maybe it's the group chat that never talks about growth, only gossip. Maybe it's your morning routine, built around rushing instead of reflection. The fix isn't dramatic. You don't need to sell everything and move to the mountains. Start small. Clean your space. A clean desk is a clear mind. Every item you remove is one less distraction. Limit your inputs. Unfollow accounts that add no value. Turn off notifications. Feed your mind what you want it to become. Audit your circle. If the people around you mock your discipline or dreams, they're not neutral, they're noise. Change your setting. Sometimes all you need is a different room, a quiet cafe, a walk outside, anywhere that pulls you out of your current loop. Create friction for bad habits. Delete the app. Hide the remote. Make it harder to fall back into patterns that keep you stuck. Environment is not just physical, it's emotional, digital, relational. It's everything that whispers to your subconscious. This is who you are. This is what you do. Change the whisper. Change the rules. Change what surrounds you. and watch how your thoughts, energy, and life begin to follow. You don't need more willpower, you need better soil, because even the strongest seed can't grow in concrete. Cultivate a space where your future self would thrive, and then watch how progress stops being a battle and becomes a natural response. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world slows down and you're left alone with your thoughts, there's a moment that often arrives, raw, honest, and terrifying. It whispers, "I don't think I can do this anymore." Maybe you've been chasing a goal that feels too far, stuck in a life that feels too heavy, or simply worn out by the weight of trying to be strong for too long. It's in that moment that the idea of quitting starts to look beautiful, like relief, like peace. But here's the truth most people avoid. Quitting is a short-term comfort that leads to long-term pain. What feels like an escape today often becomes regret tomorrow, and not because you weren't good enough, or strong enough, or lucky enough, but because you stopped too soon to see what you were truly capable of. This video isn't about toxic positivity or blind motivation. It's a brutal, loving wake-up call. A reminder that no one is coming to save you. That strength isn't built through comfort, it's forged in discomfort, and that the most important battle of your life is the one between the version of you who gives up and the one who decides to keep going. The Stoics taught us this clearly. That pain is not the enemy, that failure is not the end, that the only thing you ever truly control is your mind, your perceptions, your choices, your actions. Not the outcome, not other people, not the chaos around you, but always yourself. And when you embrace that, something incredible happens. You stop waiting. You stop asking for permission. You stop depending on someone to rescue you from your reality. Instead, you begin to build. Slowly, imperfectly, but relentlessly. The message of this video is simple, but not easy. Take full responsibility for your life, even when it's hard. Let yourself feel, but keep moving. Stop worshipping the fantasy of quitting. Help others, not just because it's noble, but because it helps you remember your strength. And most of all, shape your environment so that resilience becomes your default, not your exception. In a world that sells instant gratification and glorifies ease, it's radical to keep showing up. But that's exactly where the power lies, not in being perfect, but in not giving up. So if you're at the edge, on the verge of quitting something you know matters, pause, breathe. Look not at how far you still have to go, but how far you've already come. Remind yourself that the version of you who feels weak today might just be the seed of someone unshakably strong tomorrow. You don't need to change your whole life overnight, you just need to take one small step forward, again and again and again. Because while quitting is always an option, pushing through, choosing growth over comfort, that's how you earn your peace, that's how you build a life you don't need to run from, and that, quietly, stubbornly, beautifully, is how you win.